So here we are in the second video. We've decided to cosplay, and we might even have an idea of who we'd like to cosplay as. But where do you go from there? I have a suggestion. Now, this might seem silly, but it literally saved my life this past year. And it's something that I didn't think about beforehand. So I'm going to share my story of shame with all of you. Here we go. This past year, I cosplayed as Misha the Great Fairy from Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda. And I did 2 days with fairy wings, 2 days with the big fountain attachment. And the fountain attachment is where she comes up out of in the gameplay. Now, it was a pretty large prop, and it was a pretty intricate prop, and a lot of people really appreciated it. But when I was looking at starting this cosplay, I was very overwhelmed. There were no tutorial videos out there for how to make a fairy fountain. There were no instructions on how to do it, and it was a pretty big prop piece. So I'm stressing out over it. I'm sitting at the table about in tears, and my significant other comes over and goes, "Honey, make a list." Literally saved my cosplay. Because once you start making lists, you start thinking about your cosplay in pieces, in little individual bits that come together to make your cosplay. Once you make a list of those individual bits, you can then break the bits down into materials. And this is where the magic happens. Once you have a list of materials, you can then decide how you're going to buy those materials. If you have a cosplay that calls for a large amount of cloth, then you can buy in bulk online and save yourself a good amount of money instead of going to the local store and buying it by the yard. Sometimes it's the difference between $10 and $50. It's amazing what you can do when you break things down and you figure out how you need to buy things. The other bit of advice when it comes down to materials, start thinking about what materials you can substitute for others. One of the big ones that's floating around is when you need to prime something like foam, a lot of people say Mod Podge. This past year, I learned that Elmer's glue thinned out with a little bit of water does just as well, if not better. Blew my mind, and it's a fraction of the price, especially when you're doing a large piece. Well, what else can you do in this vein? You can sketch out the pieces of your cosplay. That way you can get an idea of the scope, what you want the final product to look like. And it helps you kind of play with your color palette and helps you get it as close as possible to the original look and feel of the cosplay. Now, this might seem kind of silly to do, and if you're bad at sketching like I am, it's something that you can just look at and go, "Oh my god, I really don't want to do this." But it's very beneficial because when you sketch things out, you can do rough estimates for measurements on those sketches. And it's very easy from that point on to look at materials and pieces in a very detached way. You're putting together a puzzle instead of putting together a character. And sometimes that's the difference between ensuring that your sanity stays in check and losing your mind. So that's what I have for you this video. Please do make your lists. Please do your sketches. And If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down below. And I'm asking a question of you guys. What would you like to see in the next few videos? If you have a comment about a particular part of cosplay that you would like to see done, I will try my best to address those in future videos. So let's have some fun, and I will see you next time.